And we use effective available resources as well to ensure that wide coverage. Evidence-based interventions for high impact is in place because we are working to ensure that through long-lasting insecticide-treated bed nets, for example, prompt effective case management, indoor residual spraying as well, and treatment, particularly for pregnant women. Evidence-based information education and behavioral change, communication, among others, and results have been positive, particularly among the under fives, for example. We have realized reduced mortality from 131 per thousand to 109 per thousand within that period. Of course, we do have challenges as well in this area. We need more resources as well as strengthened health systems.
After a period of significant advances in improved methods in treating these diseases, experts are describing this period as a historic tipping point in scientific development as more and more people continue to access improved and sophisticated treatment at a lower cost.
If you look at the trend in the three diseases, in particular HIV and AIDS, when we are talking about in 2001, and you look at the trend as we speak now, there has been tremendous achievement because we are talking about 1.6% national prevalence rate for HIV in the Gambia, and elsewhere in other countries, particularly in southern countries, they have also recorded marked reduction in their national HIV prevalence. So those are achievements that can be attributable to the leadership, the committed leadership in the African continent, without which it was going to be very difficult for such progress to be made.
We've seen a significant, number of African leaders attending this summit. What does that tell us when it comes to the commitment level, in regard to, the tackling of these particular diseases?
Yeah, because African leaders are the architect of this declaration in 2001, like I indicated initially. So their presence here also is an indication of their continuous commitment to the cause and, of course, the targets that they have set for themselves in 2001. So having them attend this meeting, is an indication that they still remain very much committed to achieving the goals as far as HIV and AIDS, malaria and TB are concerned.
At the close of the July 2013 Abuja summit, leaders pledged to, among other things, accelerate the implementation of various commitments, among them the allocation of at least 15% of national budgets to the health sector, as well as removal of all taxes and tariffs and other economic barriers that hinder the response to these diseases, among a host of others. For Grts News, this is Babukar Senghor.
The general public is hereby informed that as part of celebrations marking the 19th anniversary of the July 22nd Revolution, the Office of the President will organize an Islamic conference and Islamic recitations at the State House grounds on Sunday, 21st July 2013, starting at 10 a.m. According to a press release from the Office of the President, Islamic scholars would be there to discuss topical issues of concern to the Islamic Ummah, particularly homosexuality and lesbianism. Regional governors, according to the release, are kindly requested to organize the same at their regions at a later date to be determined by them. The release went on to state that as part of celebrations, mosques in the country are urged to recite the Holy Quran Thursday evening to Friday morning for 3 consecutive weeks. This will be coordinated by the Supreme Islamic Council. Likewise, churches are also urged to offer special prayers for the nation for 3 consecutive weeks. The Office of the President wishes all Gambians a happy anniversary of the revolution and Ramadan Mubarak. The release concludes. The President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Al-Haji Dr. Yahya Jammeh, on Friday presided over the distribution of his annual sugar donation to Muslims around the country during the Ramadan. The occasion saw the distribution of over 14,000 bags of sugar to the respective administrative heads for onward transmission to the people residing within their regions. Abdul Njai reports.
Settling with ease within the mantra of his name, but deep in this enormous gesture lies a very strong message, one that urges love and sharing. This religious perception, referred to time and again by preachers, is in most cases neglected or even ignored by Muslims, but not President Jammeh, who again unveiled his Ramadan package to the Ummah at a ceremony at the State House. Over 14,000 bags of sugar were distributed to the various regions, with Banjul taking home 777 bags, KMC, the West Coast region and the North Bank region 2,222 bags each, leaving the Lower River region, the Center River and the Upper River regions 1,111 bags respectively. The Supreme Islamic Council also took home 500 bags. The Gambia Armed Forces 1,111 bags. Interior also 1,111 bags. And the Yai Kumpins 300 bags. The Gambian leader used the occasion to urge a greater sense of nationalism in Gambians in protecting our markets and homes against exploitation and the breach of security. He realized the enmity and hatred that exists between neighbors sometimes cost us a lot, especially in relations to security, saying we should be each other's keeper, and that the peace and tranquility of this country will never be compromised. Referring to the prevailing conditions in Gambian markets, Professor Jammeh said the blame lies squarely on the use of the country for failing to take ownership of enterprises and to explore the vast benefits that exist in the informal sector. He warned his government will guard and protect its commitments to free market policies and the free movement of goods and services, but will not tolerate economic sabotage. Speaking earlier, the Vice President, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi, said the Gambia should be a reference point for the rest of the world for the way it continues to conduct its religious matters and the protection it continues to give to all faiths. The Secretary General and the head of the Civil Service, Mamadou Sabali, who doubles as the Minister for Presidential Affairs, the Minister of the Interior, Usman Sonko, the Minister of Fisheries, Mas Aksigai, Lands and Regional Governments, Mamadou Akibayo, all spoke at the ceremony. Each of them at one point extolled the gesture while drawing emphasis on its emulation. And such were also made by the Governor of the West Coast region, Lamin Sane, and the Lord Mayor of the KMC, Yankuba Kole.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahadun Allahu samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad.
Abdou Ndiaye, GRTS.
A fierce storm swept through the Nyani district, leaving 2 people dead and a trail of destruction in its wake. According to community leaders and residents, this was the worst storm they have ever seen. But as we hear in this report by Mamadou Jallo, the large-scale destruction of homes comes at a critical time when the cropping season is just starting.
In the Nyani district had retired after a long day of fasting and work in the farms. The ferocity of the storm was such that it swept away roofs and uprooted trees. Not a single village in Nyani was spared the destruction caused by the storm, which was soon followed by heavy rains. However, the worst affected villages were Suguta, Kayai and Tubakuta, where 2 people were killed when the wall fell on the women whilst they slept. Piles of bricks and broken beds and blood-stained clothing is all that reminds this family of a dreadful night they will never forget. According to the family patriarch, Alaji Kewulen Jane, he had just retired into his room after the wind started gushing, but was awakened by a sudden noise coming from his mother's house. I jumped into my mother's room, only to find her and 2 other people buried in the rubble. Kewulen later sounded the alarm bells, and soon help arrived to evacuate the occupants. 2 died on the spot, and 2 others sustained slight injuries. One of the victims was later buried at the village cemetery. The death has taken this small community, and the outpour of grief and sympathy transcended across the whole of Nyani as people come to terms.
Well, we apologize for that poor quality in sound. Still defiant and adamant, supporters of deposed President Mohamed Morsi say they won't give up until the former Egyptian leader is reinstated, and after the coup and acrimony, the Central African Republic is beginning to harvest peace. But human rights organizations say there are concerns about human rights abuses outside the capital. We'll be back with these stories right after this break.
RLG Communication.
Gambia Limited wishes you all a Ramadan Mubarak.